I'm a rookie, I'm saying that. I'm getting my other sweatshirt too. Sam.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's national anthem will be sung tonight by DHS student Shannon Flaherty.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
Live from Stadium Field on the campus of Darien High School, it's Varsity Boys Soccer on the DAF Media Network tonight, senior night for the Darien Blue Wave as they host the Westhill Vikings. Hi, everybody. Damian Andrew here. Glad you could be with us on this DAF Media Network broadcast. Of course, the DAF Media Network, a joint venture of the Darien Athletic Foundation and the Darien Foundation, and it is a privilege to have two gentlemen who I also consider friends on the broadcast this evening, former Darien High School soccer players, Lewis Clark and Eric Canigan. Gentlemen, this is it's a special night because it's senior night for the Darien Blue Wave seniors. A number of them were honored before the game as we are just about ready to go green here between Darien and Westhill. But it's also a very important game for Darien and Westhill in terms of the FCIAC playoff picture. Darien really, in talking to head coach John Bradley earlier today, they need to win 2 of their final 3 games to really control their own destiny and punch their ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, Damian, thanks. First and foremost, thank you, and thank you to the DAF Media for having us here. And a big welcome to Lewis Clark for his first broadcast.
Thank you.
We're very excited to be here for a senior night. And as you were just discussing, senior night games typically are more about the ceremonial side of things. But as you mentioned, this one has a lot of implications for the playoffs. So hopefully we have a great game on our hands tonight, and it's a beautiful night for it. So I'm very excited for this one.
Hard to believe, but 17 seniors, Lewis, making their final senior, well, their one and only senior game appearance. 17 seniors, that's a lot, and you certainly must reflect fondly on your days playing here and your senior day.
It is a lot, and what John does very well is that he does take a lot of seniors, and he takes a lot of pride in having guys that may not necessarily be having such a huge role in the field, but on the bench and in practice, and just overall team morale are great to have along. So he's done a great job at keeping everybody involved, those that are so passionate about the game. So it's great to see that, and so many seniors here available tonight that will get their chance to get on the field for the Wave.
And we are just about ready to get going here. A crisp fall evening in Darien, Connecticut. I'll say it, it's going to probably get downright cold as this game wears on. But this is a Westhill program that comes into this game coming off a 3-1 win over Stamford to win the city title in the city that works, and you guys both know how big that is to the either Westhill, Stamford, or Trinity Catholic. That city title in Stamford, a big deal. Darien comes into this game 6-3-4. Westhill 5-5-3. A lot of ties between the two of these clubs.
There have been, and an interesting point actually, that win over Stamford was their first win since September 26th. So Westhill's going to look to capitalize and continue that good form here tonight.
And Eric, doing your homework, that win that in September 26th, I believe, was against Trinity Catholic. They beat the Crusaders 7-0, which so they win that game, then they beat Stamford, and of course that gives them the city championship. And we are underway here. Darien in the blue uniforms, Westhill in the white unis, and Darien will be moving from left to right, Westhill from right to left.
So again, it looks like John really integrated a lot of the seniors into this starting lineup. We'll see Charlie Sears, who typically is deployed in the back four. He is now in a midfield role. Freeman looking to anchor the back line with his brute physicality. I'm sure we'll see some tough tackles from him tonight.
As I mentioned at the outset, Darien head coach John Bradley said really they need to, in order to control their own destiny, there's other ways they can get in, but if they can win 2 of their final 3 matches of the season, that will qualify them for the FCIAC tournament. They've already qualified for state play, something they did not do a year ago, so they are back in the state tournament, and now they're trying to get into the conference playoffs.
That's right, and John actually went on record saying that they really ideally go undefeated in these last 3 games, but as you just mentioned, he feels that 2 wins in the last 3 would allow them to get into the FCIAC playoffs, which is a big tournament for any team. And great skill from Tripitelli there. Almost plays, it looks like that is Olsen, who's playing at striker, almost played him through.
And Darien's next 2 games after this game against Westhill will be against St. Joe's and Norwalk. And, of course, you both know Norwalk, no easy task, especially at their place. And that game will be next Tuesday night at Testa Field in Norwalk. And certainly that could end up being a really important game for Darien in terms of the playoff picture.
That's right. And Norwalk actually are sitting 6th right now. Darien at that last 8th spot. So a lot of implications to that game, but of course John's going to be focused on this game first and foremost. Now, Lewis, I know we didn't get to enjoy the stadium field too much when we were playing for the high school. What do you think it's like for these players to get out there in almost an evening game if the sun starts setting?
Oh, it really gets you up for it. I mean, having this and the stadium with the stands and the lights that will come on later, it really does get you pumped up for the occasion, and it would certainly make it a bigger one for all of these guys.
Yeah, and again, those lights were something that the town of Darien really pushed for a while, so it's great to see them being able to take advantage of evening games, which they hadn't been able to do previously unless on the road. So it looks like Westhill is going to launch a long ball into the box. That's handled quite well by Harmon. And Tripitelli will look to take the ball up the field.
they're going to need to channel through him tonight for that creative source. You can already tell.
Unfortunate placement by the referee right there. But you're right, Lewis. How key is that number 10 role in especially these important games towards the end of the season?
Well, you have to rely on him to pick apart the defense. You're going to have to rely on him to make that pass to unlock them. And sometimes, these teams, Westhill in particular, they're hard to get through. And you need somebody who's patient and can pick out that pass because it's so key.
Yeah, you don't typically have a lot of players who are as composed on the ball as Tripitelli is. I know Charlie Sears is another one. As Westhill look to backheel the ball through into the box. But Riley Warble, who is stepping in at the goalkeeper spot.
Getting an opportunity to start this senior day game, Riley Warble, the senior for the Blue Wave. In goal for Stamford is a sophomore, Nate Ibar, and he filled in the last game after their starting goalie, Mike Leva, went down with an injury. So it's Ibar in goal for the Westhill Vikings.
That was a decent ball across from Vetter, but no one in the middle to meet it. But, Damien, that's a great point. Nate Ibar, who's stepping in at goal, it really is a challenge to be called, especially mid-game, to step in, especially in a position so critical like the goalkeeping role. So he's going to look to capitalize on this opportunity and show that he can step in seamlessly without any issue. Now, Lewis, I know it's been only a couple minutes here, but what have you noticed from what seems to be the tactics from John? Do you think Darien has, or will look to keep most of the ball? Or?
He wants to keep most of the possession, and he's going to try and protect against that counterattack as well. But he's going to want most of the ball in this game, that's for sure. And he's going to want to pin him deep.
And that kind of breaks from his typical tactical standpoint, as you remember when we were players. If you want to shed some light on that.
Yeah, no, he knew our strengths. He knew that a lot of us were great athletes. Some of us are better with the ball than others, but that he knew that there were potentially other more talented teams out there. But he used his tactics brilliantly, and he got the best out of all of us, which was great, which led to a lot of success, as I'm sure you can remember.
That's right. And Sears floats in a dangerous ball, and Nate tested early. Nate Ibar and goes through his arms. I think they're calling a corner on this one.
Looks like a corner, yeah.
Very dangerous ball from Charlie Sears. Again, he is one of the big playmakers and big talents on this team. He plays year-round, which is huge for a sport like soccer, where you come across a number of programs in towns where most of their players play year-round. So to have him in the field really makes a huge difference.
He transferred in last year, played as a sophomore on the varsity squad here at Darien, transferred in, was living in London, and transferred to Darien, and is a terrific soccer player. So the first penalty corner for the Blue Wave.
They look to play a low ball, and I think that took an unfortunate deflection off the Westhill defender, but Ibar claims it and will hope to get that ball upfield as quickly as possible.
I'll tell you what, on a night like this is where you find out who the true warriors are, because on a cold one, when that ball's smacking you in the leg and you're taking those blocks and you're going up for those headers, it's not easy. And you'll see some guys maybe stray away from it, but you will find out who's here to play tonight.
And some members of the varsity girls soccer team here at Darien in attendance, cheering on the boys team, as we see that a lot from the programs here.
Yeah, and Lewis and I both remember from our senior year, that was one of the big points that we wanted to make, was that connection we had with the girls program, because they would show up to all of our games and vice versa, and just having that extra support, those extra fans who typically are the most vocal also in the stands, just makes the world of difference.
And even outside of just the girls team, we had the football guys showing up when they could, lacrosse, basketball, really just the entire school kind of banded together, which was a great thing to see and something that we hadn't seen before.
That's a great ball, and
that's well tucked away.
Rustimovic with the goal. And we see a tribute to the infamous French
see the
player
replay
Mbappe.
here.
Great job by our DAF Media production crew. Sam Cragen, ISO camera. Camera 1 is Mike DeMeglio. And our director, and also doing double duty instant replay, is Thomas Kiernan.
Now this is interesting because Stanford actually have a much better away record than home record. They've actually won 4 on the road. Meanwhile, Darien have only managed 2 of their 6 wins at home. So it's an interesting dynamic. Typically you would expect the home team to really rally and get those wins in front of their fans, but we'll see if the tides can turn here. But John Bradley's definitely going to have to look to make a change here, or tweak his tactics a bit, and it looks like Darien's already pushing. Hopefully can get one back here.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, you think that, when you're at home, you have that boost from the fans. They're going to really need it tonight, so I hope that they can get loud for them and get some energy going.
Absolutely.
Darien coming off a 0-0 tie against Staples at Loeffler Field in Westport. You guys familiar with that place? There's another opportunity here for Westhill.
And unfortunately just rolls out of Rustomovic's grasp there, but he's already notched 1 goal and looks like he's looking for another here.
Senior Amir Rustomovic, but we were talking about the Staples game, 0-0 tie, and then prior to that, Darien had back-to-back wins, so playing some of their best soccer as we approach the end of the season. Of course, next Tuesday night, in Norwalk at Testa Field, the Blue Wave will play the Norwalk Bears in their final regular season game. In between this game and that game is a matchup with St. Joe's.
Reed just whips one in.
It's a great ball into the box.
Just over Tripitelli's head there. And the Wave will look to hopefully put another ball in the box, but unfortunately a loose pass there. Turns it over to Sparks.
This is where they have to be careful.
And Torres is off. Well played from Freeman in the back there. But Westhill really applying a lot of pressure, and Lewis just alluded to it. They're really dangerous on the counterattack, and they were when we played them a few years back. And I think it's just the style of play that they implement through the system, constantly looking for that quick ball over the top and using that speed to get in behind.
Their forwards are so quick. You just have to be so careful.
Yeah, Westhill actually happened to be our low light and highlight of that senior season. They were our opening match. Took a resounding 7-1 loss, but we ended up going on to have one of our best seasons in years. Of course, John has capitalized in the past couple of seasons and gone to state finals and FCIAC finals as well. But Westhill, always a dangerous team.
Absolutely.
And great ball into Marson there. He'll look to head control. Little confusion with Olsen.
Yeah,
no foul
have to
called.
Communicate there.
Sears, lots of composure, and lets one go. It looked like just to the right of the post, but a great effort from Sears. He's going to look to keep that going, put more pressure on Ibar, who's stepping in for the standard keeper.
That's great play to boost the confidence. They're getting closer. But again, they also just have to really keep an eye on that Westhill attack. Because it can just, on a flip of a dime, it can change.
Even off a goal kick, and David Torres looks to be the one running in behind, straight down the middle. And again, we've already seen Rustomovic on the left wing, and almost an additional opportunity for Westhill. And Sears looks to switch the play, but intercepted by Westhill. Rustomovic with a weak ball, or loose ball, I should say. Darien quickly cleans up. Well played by Reed.
Damian Andrew joined by Lewis Clark, Eric Cannigan, 2012 Darien High School grads. You mentioned Westhill. A lot of history with the Westhill program. They've had success through the years. Last time they won an FCIAC title was all the way back in 2001. They also made it to the Class LL State Finals that very same year and lost to Naugatuck 3-2. But this is a program that, year in and year out is capable of doing damage in the FCIAC.
You said it right. Every year they produce. You know, they always have a great team,
Yep.
and it's always one that you look on the schedule when you're playing them, and you do hope that you get them at home, because away can always be a difficult place to play them.
No question. We've got some substitutions for Darien.
Looks like Ignacio Pacheco coming on, as well as Jack Hawley. So Hawley looks to be going towards the left flank. And it looks like, at least for this throw, Sears is back in central defense. I'm not sure if John made a permanent change, but we'll have to watch out for that. And again, Westhill just launching one over the top and telling Torres to go run for it, which has proved effective so far. So they might continue to do this.
Looks similar to the tactics that John instilled of us back in 2011.
It does. Again, you play to your strengths. There's nothing wrong with that, and he knows if you've got a quick striker, which Torres definitely looks to fit the bill, they're going to play to his strength and play one over the top and hopefully catch Darien off guard. Torres is offside on that one. Good call by the ref. But I do think this is why Sears was now pushed back towards defense. Again, he's a very skilled defender. Knows how to position himself, which is key in that center back role, and obviously knows how to command the defense and the rest of the team. So I think that might prove to be a smart decision by Bradley.
You know, I'm looking down at my notes, and 2011, which would have been your junior years, you guys won the FCIAC East Division Championship. Do you remember that season, Lewis?
That would have been our senior year, because
that was senior.
Yeah,
that's right.
2011.
2011. That's right. Your senior year.
Yep.
Correct. Yep.
That was an incredible season. I mean, the rebound we made from just having 3 wins our junior year, and the impact that having John really made on our team, and just knowing our strengths and getting the best out of us was, it was incredible. It was an experience unlike any other, really. I'm sure Eric would say the same thing.
And Sean Bradley won FCIAC Coach of the Year that very same year.
Sure deserved it.
He did, and again, it may not have come down to any title wins and championships, but the turnaround he made for this program, and to see what happened in years subsequent, and Marston's looking for an opportunity to cross it in, and he does, and he...
Just over the crossbar.
And it looked like that was Vetter, who I think was thrown off by all of the people that Westhill threw at him in the box. And what a great opportunity from Darien.
Two opportunities, really.
Correct.
Flaherty had the header on the far post.
But that was very smart play by Flaherty. A lot of players will look to nod that towards the net, but he actually looked to cut it back towards Vetter in the middle, which was exactly what you wanted to do, and unfortunately Westhill were just able to clear it out.
And great patience from Marston too. You saw him, lining up that shot right at the beginning, but decided to take on the defender instead and put in that ball, which was a great ball. So that patience is key.
Absolutely, and I think he saw that initial shot wasn't open, and decided that the next best thing was to take a few extra touches towards the outside and then send one across the box. So great play from Marston. He's been one of the standout players all season long, so great to see he's still performing.
You are watching the Varsity Boys Soccer live on the DAF Media Network, a joint venture of the Darien Athletic Foundation and the Darien Foundation. All students on the production side of things for this live stream and doing a terrific job. Mike DeMeglio, camera 1, Sam Cragen, camera 2, and our director in the back is Thomas Kiernan.
And Charlie Sears again handles that long ball very well. He's already been showing why John pushed him back towards the defense. And Marston's looking to run here. He's applying a lot of pressure. Westhill just managed to squeak it out.
They're fighting.
Pacheco finds Harmon in the defense, and then out to, I think that's Jack Hawley playing left back. And it looks like a Westhill foul. And again, I think Charlie Sears is going to be looking to play this one just around the penalty spot, danger area, hopefully catch Nate Ibar out.
They'll need a good delivery here.
So, Lewis, in a situation like this, would you lob this one in or hopefully add some curve and a little bit of speed to it?
I think you just have to have a combination of the curve and the loft and loft it up there. You know, I don't think a driven ball is the move in this scenario.
Yeah.
But you just got to try and get it in the box, put it in the mixer, see who comes up with it.
And that curse of the commentator right there went for a low driven option and
He didn't
hits the first man in the wall.
He didn't get my message. They're not tapped in.
And again, Westhill will be able to reset here with the goal kick. So, and they play it short. Zagaha goes long and finds the Westhill coach.
Going back to that goal by Rustomovic, though, the amount of the calmness and the coolness of his finishing is just was something to be admired. Because it's just when you're one-on-one with a keeper like that, it's so difficult to keep your head and just tuck it away. But he didn't go for power; he just went for placement and just almost passed it into that bottom corner.
Yeah, he
which
did.
which was terrific. So he's been great so far.
Yeah, he's really, and you'll see here, he's putting a lot of pressure on that left flank.
And a great ball.
Immediately to David Torres, but Charlie Sears,
well done,
showing why he is a standout player on this team and recovers very well. And John might be asking himself why he didn't start Sears there to begin with, but I think it was to accommodate some of the seniors elsewhere on the field. So,
I mentioned Liam Flaherty a few moments ago. His sister, Shannon, sang the national anthem, and they are twins, and she does a terrific job singing the national anthem. She did it again tonight and really crushed it, but I want to give a quick shout-out to her. But we've got a free kick here, and Sears will take it.
Sears goes for a more lofted approach. Looks like it hit the shoulder of the Westhill midfielder. Jack Hawley looks to play one over the top. Marson again causing a lot of problems, and he's going to look to shoot immediately.
Great hit.
Fortunately, into the hands of Nate Ibar. But again, I've heard John on the sidelines before. He just wants Marson to start peppering the goalkeeper. The more shots he puts on target, the more likely the goalkeeper might make a mistake. And that was a good effort. He might just look to play it a little more towards the corner, but that is what you want to see. You want to see Darien applying pressure constantly because that's what Westhill is looking to do with their long balls. Darien needs to return fire.
You want to test the keeper too. He really only came in that last game, and you don't know much about him. So you got to rip some shots at him and see what he can do because you never know what could happen. It could be a potential weakness. Who knows? And
just even beyond shots, you test him with those balls coming in from free kicks too. So corner kicks as well. You just want to see how he can handle those trickier situations.
There's certainly a lot to be tested and to be found out.
Absolutely, and Warble will look to reset Darien upfield. Just goes beyond Vetter there. Pacheco will take the ball out towards Jack Hawley. Marson applying a lot of pressure there, just in front of that back four.
And we've got another substitution for the Blue Wave.
It looks like McElhoe's coming on for Hawley. So we'll see if I think he's slotting in at the left back. I've seen him play in a more defensive midfield role. But it did look like Hawley was out there on the left flank.
I think they need to get Tripatelli more involved here, Darien. He had a really strong start and controlled the ball really well, and he was taking on defenders, and he was definitely a creative source, but I'd love to see more from him here.
Yep, and you'll see Olsen got taken down there. Looks to have picked up a slight knock, but I think he's back on his feet. And again, I think this is Marson territory here. I've seen in previous games, again, John just wants him to get the ball on target, and really that's all you can ask for from your player. You hate to see it go over the crossbar, so if you can keep this low and just get it towards the goalkeeper.
And a lot of times it's not about the power.
Right.
It's just sheerly about the placement.
So Olsen will, in fact, take a seat on the bench.
Yeah, he did look to.
As Hawley comes back in.
Again, that looks like it was heading on target. but that's what the Westhill wall is there for. It served its role. Now out for a corner. Charlie Sears looks to be taking this one.
So the second corner opportunity for the Blue Wave in this first half. We are more than midway through the first half.
That's a great header.
And that is just over the crossbar.
They're getting closer.
Freeman with a good header. Just a little too much power, but again, it looked like he might have been leaning a little bit back. Just was off balance, which makes that header even more difficult.
It's all in West Hill's half right now. They're applying a lot of pressure. They just gotta, they gotta keep an eye on their guys on West Hill.
But again, that's exactly when West Hill can make, as you'll see here, and it looks like Torres is just offside now. It's in those unlikely moments when you can really catch a team like Darien off guard if they're not staying alert. So they have to be sure that they're not becoming complacent despite the fact that the ball's in the opposition half for a good portion of time.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest challenges, is keeping your wits about you even though you're forward.
Absolutely. And Darien with a third corner kick here. Sears will look to play, or a free kick actually. Almost in the corner kick position, and we'll see if Freeman can get one on target. Always nice to see the ref is in good spirits. I should say thus far. That can quickly turn.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
But I think they've been doing a pretty good job. I think they've made fair calls on both sides and accurate calls. And here we'll see Sears put in another great ball.
Another
and
great
Marson
ball.
Connects with it, but again, just over the bar. I think John will be a little bit frustrated that those aren't going on target because those are pristine deliveries, really.
He's been putting in great balls all night. He's got to keep them coming. One of them will fall. You just got to believe.
He has. And John, prior to this game, said that they really cannot let down at this point in the season. And, I think he'll be disappointed with how this game has started, but he's going to look to continue to push and push. And he really knows that they have to apply pressure because that Norwalk game is really going to be a tough one. They also are away to St. Joe's, too. So St. Joe's not one of the top teams in the FCIAC. They're sitting 14th, but again, at this point in the season, those teams are looking to, ruin the party for other teams. So they'll have to try and get something from this game.
You can never underestimate anybody at this stage of the season. You're absolutely right.
It's amazing in boys and quite frankly girls soccer, although more so in boys soccer in the FCIAC. There's so much parity in the league, and it's been that way for a long time where really any given, Eric and I were talking about this earlier today, where on any given day, any team can really upend its opponent.
It's all about who shows up.
Yeah, right.
And it is also interesting, having followed the FCIAC for a number of years and, seeing how some of the teams tend to fluctuate. Obviously, you have those juggernaut programs like Staples, like Westhill, Norwalk as well. But you'll see two teams at the top of the table, Danbury and Ward, who, when we played, were mid to lower table at best. So, again, a lot of things can change, and a lot of these teams can come and perform any given day, any given season.
Yeah, and you look at Greenwich, the two-time defending FCIAC champs, and they're in the 7th spot right now in the FCIAC standings in terms of the playoff picture. So just ahead of Darien.
Yeah, Darien's sitting 8th. Again, as I mentioned, they have those games against St. Joseph and Norwalk, both on the road. And you'll see McMahon sitting shortly behind in 9th, who face Wilton today, I believe, and then away to Ward and Central. And you have to look, some of these games they should be picking up. McMahon is playing Central, who's 1-12. So that might be a win. Again, that would put pressure on Darien, who are sitting above them. And then Westhill have 2 home games, Ridgefield and then New Canaan. New Canaan's 1-10, so you might expect them to get a win there. So really, we understand why John is saying they need to pick up 2 wins at least from these last 3.
Yeah, and just to clarify that too, Eric, do they don't definitely need to win 2 of their next 3. But it guarantees them a spot if they are able to do that. If they win 1 of their next 3, there are ways they can get in, and we're not going to go in all the
Correct. The
mathematics of
scenarios.
that.
Right, but as the long throw comes in, you never really want to leave it to other teams to determine your fate. You'd rather do that on your own. So
Keep it in your own hands.
right. A long ball in there. Let's see. Nicely handled
Crowd's starting to get louder here.
by Warble. I think they're trying to warm up, as am I. Shuffling side to side here. My toes are getting a little cold, but
You know, I don't want to tell you guys this. I had planned to bring a heater to our broadcast coach here. Unfortunately, I don't have any more outlets to plug it into, so we're going to have to
Sacrifice the
the heat.
that's okay. You can run and grab us some hot chocolate.
I was going to ask you to do the same. Damian Andrew, Eric Cannigan, Lewis Clark joining you. Thanks for joining us on the DAF Media Network. We've got a number of people watching this live stream of Varsity Boys Soccer. And again, our DAF Media production crew, camera 1, Mike DeVeglio, camera 2, Sam Cragen, and our director and also doing instant replay is Thomas Kiernan.
Nice header by Tribatelli, and Marson almost gets his touch by.
Olsen back on the field, came out after he was tripped up there, but he seems to be in pretty good shape.
And that's good to see. You never want to see any of your players, really. I was going to say any strong player getting injured, but great to see he's back on the field. Again, when the temperature starts dropping, those knocks tend to hurt a little bit more. So nice to see that he's back contributing.
The game is starting to become a little bit more open. So there's a lot more space now, and I'm hoping that Darien and maybe they can exploit the counterattack here. You know, they spend a lot of time in Westhill's half, but I'm interested to see as it gets more open, and Westhill might not necessarily be able to count on that counterattack. See how Darien can do.
That's a great point, and I think they do have the speed in order to do so. Marson obviously can cause a lot of problems behind the defense.
That's
well
why
as Olsen.
soccer is so hard to figure out, right? They have really played a lot of this game in the Westhill half,
If there was a heat map,
and it's
yeah.
1-0 Vikings.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many games we had like that where we came out on the winning side when, you know, possession might have been 85 or 90% to the opposition, but you know, you get those 1 or 2 chances per game, and John says this all the time, you have to finish those 1 or 2 chances because that may be all you get, especially against the really technically gifted teams. You just have to make sure that you don't miss those opportunities.
You have to be clinical, and that happens across all levels. High school, college, professional, even when you're watching leagues like the Premier League. It's these teams that may not have all the possession in the world, they take advantage of the opportunity.
Absolutely, and I think Damien was starting to get into this. It's just a very fluid game, and I commented on this in the past. John is not one to stick to tactics an entire game if he doesn't see it working. Olsen with the shot there, straight into the hands of Nate Ibar. But again, John's not hesitating to make changes when he needs to. He saw he needed to drop Charlie Sears. He's shuffling the outside wing backs a little bit, just trying to find that perfect combination to hopefully capitalize and snack one back.
Yeah, that's one of the things he does best is adjust to the game flow and see where things are going and how he can adjust to put his team in the best position to win.
Absolutely, and his teams are ones that he really hopes to get up first because he knows how to hold the lead. So he'll be a little disappointed that they find themselves 1-0 behind in this one. But Charlie Sears will look to play in another dangerous ball with about 8.5 minutes to go. So we'll see if he can test the keeper, or at least Darien can get one on target.
Looks good.
Great ball in from Sears. Again, Freeman at the back post.
He's had a couple of headers now.
Yeah, I think there's a homing signal on Freeman's head.
There's an aerial threat there for sure.
He knows where to aim with that ball and has managed to connect a number of times. Freeman, again, might be a little disappointed with that one, but again, those are the chances that John will say they really need to capitalize on because you don't get a ton of them in a game.
Absolutely, and the clock ticks. Still a lot of time left, though.
McElhose looks to be coming off. I think it's Colin Gallagher who came on.
Warrior.
Olsen putting a lot of pressure on that defender. And Ibar just skies one, but does manage to clear it. Westhill just looking to get that ball up.
Now let me ask you something. He elected to kick that. Why wouldn't he have just taken it, corralled it, settled, and then...
Sometimes it's just best to be, better than safe than sorry.
Yeah.
It's your natural reaction.
Yeah, right.
I didn't see if a Westhill player or Darien player touched that, so if it was a Westhill player, he couldn't have picked it up for that reason, but a lot of times they just want to boot it out as quickly as possible. And he might have been approaching the outside of the 18 box, so that might have played into it as well.
Yeah.
Action on the far side of the field here. Stadium Field, under the lights on the campus of Darien High School. Damian Andrew, Eric Cannigan, Lewis Clark joining you on the DAF Media Network. High school varsity boys soccer.
That was a great ball from Freeman to Marson. Marson flicks it on. Just a little too much on that and goes back into the hands of Ibar, who's taking his time here. I'm sure they just want to run out this 6 minutes and get to halftime 1-0 up.
Looks like Torres for Westhill is getting ready to come back in. That's somebody that definitely need to keep an eye on as he comes into this game.
Yeah,
Darien.
I think Jose Pinero has taken his place for the time being. Like you said, Torres is going to be raring to go here when he comes back in. And here's a great opportunity. Jack Hawley can't get that on target. So unfortunate. He had plenty of space there. He really should have tried to knock that one across the goalkeeper. There was a lot of pressure from Westhill there, so good defending. But again, those chances.
Golden chance.
We'll see the replay here. Oh,
just past the post.
John will not be happy with that one. Again, lots of pressure from Westhill, but you have to say you really just need to wrap your foot around that one and get it on target.
It's a shame, but you just have to keep going. You can't let it get you down. You just got to keep on doing what you're doing, and it'll come. There's still plenty of time left in this game. 5 minutes left in the half, just under, and you still have a whole half.
Yeah, and well said, Lewis, because that's what really makes a top attacking player is, you'll have a number of chances in a game, and just because you happen to miss a couple, the best strikers and wingers will just continue to put their head down and put them on target. And look at that, Lewis, you called it. Torres immediately back in the action. Off the Darien, that looked like Tripatelli out for a Westhill corner.
Yeah, they're going to look to Torres tonight. On top of Rustimovic.
Yeah. And I think this may be Westhill's first corner kick, if I'm not incorrect.
It is, in fact, their first corner of the first half.
So they're going to see, again, we were talking about testing a goalkeeper. We're going to see how Riley Warble can handle this one. Again, Westhill just really will be looking to play a dangerous ball around that 7-yard mark. And he does so. Warble just gets a hand to it.
Nice job by Warble.
Yeah, it's difficult in a game like this because he hasn't faced too much action, especially on a cold, chilly night like this. He's got to just do his best to keep warm and to keep sharp.
It looks like they're making a quick ball switch here. But you're right, again, you can lose focus when not a lot of action is happening, so he did handle that one as he needed to do. I think he might have been able to get a harder hand to that, but the ball didn't go in the net, so he'll be happy with that one.
They're roaring now.
And I think I may have spotted the Wave mascot here tonight. Which
is that a new costume? I think they've refreshed.
I don't see the Wave right now, but we'll try to.
Hopefully he's grabbing the hot chocolate.
Try to get a visual of the Wave. You mentioned it, Lewis. The crowd's starting to get into it a little bit more. Pretty good crowd here tonight, despite the relatively chilly temps.
Frigid temperatures.
It's that time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's a beautiful night, though. You can see in the backgrounds the pink skies rolling in. I'm sure we'll see these lights turn on. Actually, they look like they're turning on as I say that. And again, these night games are really special for a lot of players. So we see the ball head back to Rustimovic. Again, over the top.
You know, Eric, I asked you this earlier today. I know you didn't play any home night games during your high school career, but you both must have played some night games because Norwalk's been playing night games for a long time, McMahon as well.
Yeah, something about when those lights come on. They made for some special games for us. I remember we had one great game against McMahon. Big 1-0 win there. We had a game in Trumbull. We scored in the last couple of seconds there, so that was incredibly special.
Yep, dogpile and all. John wasn't happy about that one, though.
No. But again, you know, it allows more parents and more fans to come out. Other teams have their own events, so you know, once those ends, they can make it to these games, and you'll see the crowd grow as the night goes on. So having those extra fans, having that, you know, special ambiance really just makes it something completely different from playing at 4 p.m. on the Oval.
It does just make it a bigger occasion.
It does.
And we are under 2 minutes remaining here in this first half. 1-0, Westhill in front. We've got a whistle.
And some players can thrive off of the big occasion feel, and it can really make an impact.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, those are your standout players, and obviously some respond differently to cold conditions, playing at night, but that's when you see who to quote you, the true warriors are. So
I always preferred the cold ones. At the beginning of the season, when it's so hot, you just have less in your tank.
Yeah, you do.
You know, I think you can get more out of yourself when it's a little bit cooler like this. I'll take the cold over the warm any day.
I don't know. I remember a couple of games where I cramped up after a couple seconds because it was so cold. So it's trade-offs. I prefer it. A few weeks ago, I was here with Damien. The temperature was perfect. So. But it is a factor. I mean, you look at, you know, the playoffs are pretty late into the fall. You can have some games even into November. So it does play a factor. But again, it's something special. You know, you're really late in the season. You know that a lot of the teams who you've come up against don't get to play in the playoffs, and it's your opportunity to prove how well you've been doing.
Absolutely, and to speak to the weather again, I think I remember we went to a girls' varsity game for a playoff game, and it was snowing. So it really can get that deep.
Yep.
Yeah, and I actually think some of the players in that game actually, unfortunately, had to visit the hospital because of the cold temperatures. But, it's no joke.
And that ball sails far of the near post, and we are under 10 seconds now remaining in the first half. 1-0 Westhill on a Rustimovic goal about midway through, and that will do it for the first half. We will take a break. 1-0 Westhill at the half. We will be back with second half action here on the DAF Media Network. We are back live here on the DAF Media Network. At the half, it's Westhill 1, Darien nothing in varsity boys soccer. And it is senior night here at Stadium Field on the Darien High School campus. And we're going to take a look now at all of the seniors, as you can see there, being honored before this game. And there are 17 in all. Mac Marson, Connor Olson, big part of this Blue Wave team. Johan Tripatelli. And all of these guys have been an integral part of this Blue Wave soccer program in their careers, being recognized on senior night. We'll be back with more second half action. 1-0 Westhill at the half. We are back here live on the DAF Media Network, about ready to start the second half between Darien and Westhill. The Vikings up 1-0 on a goal by Emir Rustamovich in the first half, and we are underway here. Darien in the blue, moving from right to left on your screen. Westhill in the whites, moving from left to right. We are under the lights here live on the DAF Media Network. Stadium Field on the campus of Darien High School. Damian Andrew alongside Lewis Clark and Eric Hannigan. And gentlemen, it'll be interesting the first few minutes of this second half, Lewis, see what both teams do here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Darien comes out hot as they have been. And I hope that John has encouraged them to do so, because they've been getting so close that you just have to feel that it's going to come eventually. So I hope they keep the pressure. But, as I've been talking about all broadcast, is the defenders just keeping an eye on their attackers, because they are so dangerous, Torres especially.
Yeah, and it's really that first few minutes out of the halftime break where you look to capitalize and, pounce on the opposition when they're least expecting it. So I'm sure John gave a rousing team talk at halftime, and he's going to be hoping that Darien really, push for one in the early stages of this second half, and ideally a second. And that's a great cross-field ball.
A halftime break is a great way to catch a team on the back foot, and that's exactly what John's going to be hoping for here.
Absolutely. It looks like Flaherty there on the left flank is going to be looking to play one forward. That was a pretty blatant push from behind there, and
that'll be a free kick.
We have essentially what would be a corner, but Sears is going to look to play one in from that slightly advanced position from that corner flag.
Sears has just got to keep doing what he's been doing, and what he's been doing is putting in great deliveries tonight.
Yeah, there's really been no issue with these deliveries, so he's really got to count on his teammates to capitalize. And again, Marson's going to be a threat, as well as Matt Freeman. And that's about as good as a ball as you can ask for.
Nice
Here's
ball.
where you have to be careful.
Nice ball into the box as...
Well defended.
Yeah, that was Will Harmon there. I thought he actually took too much of a step back and was going to allow the Westhill player to take it past him, but he managed to clear it out. Nice flick from Tripatelli onwards to Morrison, who just loses possession.
Will Henry Harmon, one of my favorite names out there on the pitch.
Well,
that is a great name.
The favorite name is, of course, the commentator I'm standing alongside here.
One of the great names. An Englishman with the name Lewis Clark. It's one of the great names.
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk
it? Not something you see every day.
Again, want to thank Eric Cannigan and Lewis Clark for joining the DAF Media Network for tonight's game between Westhill and Darien.
David Torres, I'm sorry. Again, in the middle of the action, and he's looking to peel off a little bit to the right flank, capitalizing on that space there.
Looks like both sides are really going for it here. Neither are sitting back, especially Westhill with the lead. It looks like they're trying to use the best form of defense, which is to attack, to keep their 1-goal lead here.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's something you see with these very skilled and technical programs, is they don't really rest on their laurels and, sit on that lead that they have. They look to put the game to bed.
You can't take your foot off the gas.
When you say sit on the lead in soccer, does that just mean you're not attacking as much as...
You're not throwing as many guys forward, and you're relying on your attacking players, midfield in particular, to be getting back and tracking men and bunkering down just a little bit more than you would typically. The forward is always going to remain high just to stretch the field a bit, to create some space in the midfield, but besides that, it's that's really it.
And you'll see various iterations of this, Damien. Some teams will take it to the nth degree and really, as they say, park the bus, which means stack the box essentially and sit back and let the opposition attack. You'll see this a lot against very skilled opposition who can possess the ball for much of the game. But like Lewis said, you could take it to a more moderate degree and really just not push too many attackers forward. But it looks like Westhill really aren't changing their game plan. And if anything, they're looking more offensive than they did in the first half.
Yeah. So if we were to use a basketball analogy, it's kind of like a stall.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
You will.
Yeah, exactly. You're just trying to kind of overload the defense and really just kind of stifle any offensive threat that they put forward.
This is a Westhill team that's certainly able to score goals in bunches. In that win over Stamford, their last time out, a 3-1 win, they scored their 3 goals in the final 35 minutes to win it. Of course, played with a man up for much of that time, but still 3 goals in 35 minutes. They are capable of getting on the scoreboard.
They are. Matt Freeman just underestimated the path of the ball there. And
that is a Westhill goal, the second attempt after the Warble save. There you see him go down and get it. And then
replay
great
here.
Angle here, and he just can't get to it with that left leg.
And I think that was Jose Pinero. For these great finishes that we've seen tonight, it looks like Westhill have also spent some time practicing their celebrations. We've seen 2 rather elaborate ones. So, but again, it's an exciting moment. So,
it was Jose Pinero, number 20. The senior, number of seniors on this Westhill team. We talked about all the seniors on the Darien team. Showed their headshots at the half, 17 of them.
They're going to have to chase this game now. You're going to see a lot of Darien in that Westhill third. John's going to be chasing it.
Yeah, and you could just see they were rushing to get the ball out to the corner as Sears plays another one in. Tripatelli just gets a head on it. And it looks like it came off the Westhill. Yep, came off the Westhill defender for another corner. But look at the urgency. You see Sears sprinting to the other corner on the opposite side of the field, ready to take this. And this is with 33 minutes to go. Granted, they need 2 goals to tie this one up, but definitely a sense of urgency. John's chair is folded up. He is raring to go. Morrison almost gets there. That looked like a push from behind. Oh, there it is.
That is a Darien goal as they get it back quickly as we take another look at this.
and it falls to Colin Gallagher, who just, it looked like, put his left foot through that, and Marson stamps the ball on the 50-yard line. Lewis, you were talking about that urgency, and there is the fruit of their labor. It comes right off that second corner. Charlie Sears running to the opposite side, and what a great finish from the junior.
That is a perfect response. I don't think John could have wished for a better response to that. They're back in the game.
We'll see the replay again. I think he takes it out. It looked like his left foot. You can see 3 Westhill defenders as well as the goalkeeper crowding around him, and he still manages to get that crucial touch off and knock that into the back of the net as Westhill see their lead cut in half. And look at this, Darien are raring to go. Marson sent sprinting, applying so much of the pressure that we saw him apply in the first half. And this is a completely different game than what we saw, I want to say, 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Absolutely. They need to carry this momentum more. Ride the wave, so to speak.
Squeeze that one in there. I like it. And we'll see Darien throw into the box. Marson just over his head.
Scored by number 22, Colin Gallagher.
And I think that was Gallagher again. He almost just got to that ball.
He's looking dangerous. He's stepping up.
He is, and Nate Ibar just manages to grab hold of that one.
Great skill there.
But again, we were asking what Darien player would step up on a big night like this, and it looks to be Gallagher right now. I mean, he's going for another goal just a few minutes after his first. Tripatelli, great skill there. Goes in for a 50-50 ball, comes out on the losing end, and Westhill, again, just looking to play that ball in behind. Sears has lots of time, plays one over the top, looking for Gallagher.
Continue to push. They just need to continue to push.
Absolutely.
You know, I was going to ask you moments before that goal was scored by Darien how important it would be for the Blue Wave to get at least a goal back within the next couple of minutes, and sure enough, they do just that.
Oh, yeah. You need that goal to give yourself just the confidence that you can get it in the back of the net. They've had so many chances tonight, and just to see it go in the back of the net, they can believe now that they can do it again and tie this game up.
Oh, these guys know that they can do it again, and they're really looking to flip this game on its head. Obviously, John will want to get notch 2 more to take a win from this, but a point certainly could be very valuable as these last few games wrap up for other teams. So, you know, it could be something as small as a point that means that Darien could be playing in the FCIAC playoffs.
Again, these teams fighting for a spot in the FCIAC playoffs. Danbury and Fairfield Ward are the only 2 teams in the conference who have, as of this moment, clinched spots in the conference playoffs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these next couple of games unfold, not just for the Wave, but for these other teams. Again, in a perfect world, Darien does not leave it to the other teams to, you know, settle their fate, which is why games like these against teams that are so close to them in the rankings are so important.
So we are a little more than 10 minutes into this second half, and we've had some fireworks in the first 10 minutes with a goal apiece, one from Westhill and one from Darien.
Gallagher again at the center of it all, puts in a tough tackle there.
Lots of action, which is great from a fan perspective. You know, we mentioned how both teams have really came out and attacked this half, and you know, because it's been so open, we've seen those goals come in so quickly.
They have, and the man of the moment, Gallagher, gets taken down just around what looks like the 20-yard line. And Tripatelli lining up here, so it's a different person than Marson or Sears. I think this means that he might be looking to put this one on target.
Yeah, I think he would have been dreaming about putting this one in the top right corner last night.
Oh,
it's a great effort, though.
It is, and he gets it on target, but Nate Ibar again, straight into his chest. But, I mean, look how quickly he is turning that ball around and getting it out towards his wingers. That's great skill from Olsen, it looks like, out on the right flank.
Olsen on the far side of the field here, still with possession.
Oh, what a great ball. Marson, just too strong of a touch there. Looks like Elias Vetter just couldn't get control. Tripitelli, again, we see
composure.
that great composure and great skill. Manages to hold off that Westhill defender. Slips Olsen through, but it might be a little long.
They're getting him in the game, and that's key.
They are, and we were actually told at halftime by one of the parents and supporters that Olsen had to step off the field due to a verbal warning, supposedly due to too many challenges or tackles or fouls. And that fan and parent was Regina Rizzuto, who, of course, is so near and dear to us. One of her sons, Danny, was in our grade. Great player for us.
Great player.
Again, Jimmy is one of the seniors on this team, and her last senior day, so obviously an emotional time for her and a lot of the other parents who, get to watch this for one final time.
It's a big occasion.
It is, and almost slips through with that through ball from Tripitelli. But again, parents obviously have a couple more games to look forward to in the regular season and in the state playoffs at least, and they'll be hoping that the Wave can clinch a spot in the FCIAC playoffs.
Yeah, the Wave have clinched a spot, as you mentioned, Eric, in the state playoffs, so they will return to states for the first time in 2 years. They missed out last year.
We see Gallagher getting a hero's reception as he comes off the pitch.
Well, it's this time of year where you really start playing for your seniors too. It is all about the seniors tonight, but in all of those games incoming, you just want the season to go on as long as possible, and you know that, this seniors in particular, they're going to be looking at themselves as they're walking onto the field and saying, this could be the last time I'm putting on this jersey.
Exactly, and it adds a lot of gravity to these games. Not that the standings for the FCIAC playoffs haven't added enough, but again, it's just that little extra boost that really might help some of these players.
And once you're in the state tournament, you never know what can happen, or for that matter, the conference tournament. Darien in 2014 went 11-3-2 during the regular season, made it to the state semifinals. In 2015, had that great run, made it to the FCIAC finals and the state finals, and of course in 2016 returned to the state semifinals. So a big 3-year stretch there for the Blue Wave.
Yeah, and I think last season could definitely be categorized as an anomaly for this program in the past couple of years. So they'll be excited to get in the state playoffs. I do think it's a bit of an oddball of a tournament because you don't know how these teams that you're matching up against have performed in the regular season. Obviously, you can assume they're pretty good if they've qualified, but you're playing teams from well across the state who sometimes you haven't even heard of, so it can add a little bit of surprise to the event.
It's a lot like baseball and softball in the high school ranks here in Connecticut, where soccer, boys and girls, much the same. Seeding really doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
You could be the 20th seeded team and make a big run.
Yeah, and I always had to laugh at the published state and national rankings. You just wonder how they arrive at these numbers, which again, as Damien just mentioned, can lead to a number of situations where you're playing a lower seeded team who turn out to be incredibly good. So you really can't look too much into that. John was always great in telling his players not to focus on who they were playing, take things one game at a time, and really just dispatch what comes in front of you. And we'll see Sears playing another great ball. Oh.
Not sure about that one, Eric?
No, I think it probably was right.
Yeah.
I think he came in a little high on the Westhill attackers back there. And he was the last player back, so if you wanted to call a foul smart, it would be that one.
Especially when his back's to the goal.
Right, exactly. And Eric Zagaha he launches a deep ball forward.
He's got a leg.
He does. But Warble takes that one comfortably and gets that ball up the field as quickly as possible. Tripitelli plays one back over the top. A little too long for Marson, but again, he is putting so much pressure on those defenders. Really makes their lives a lot more difficult. Ball to Pacheco, just can't be taken down, and Westhill managed to clear their lines again.
Darien have been strong. Maybe too strong.
And I think that's Will Henry Harmon, who really is holding down the fort in the back there. Damien's favorite name on the sheet, and he's doing a great job. I mean, we just saw Darien with a lone defender, and he played it smart. He managed to try and play the ball, but ended up fouling the attacker, but stopped what could have been a breakaway. So, well played from him.
Will Henry Harmon.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And, there is such a thing as a smart foul.
There is.
Because you can't risk that guy getting past and it potentially leading to, either a goal or even a card or anything like that. He timed it right.
And there was obviously nothing malicious in that
Of
attempt,
course.
so
There was always good intention there.
I mean, I think he knew what he was doing. And
yeah.
It's smart play, as they say. Marson, again, just manages to get his leg there before the defense, as we've seen so much tonight. And Wave, again, on the attack, looking to apply more pressure.
Ball rolls out of bounds on the far side of the field. So the throw in here for the Blue Wave.
Marson just can't control that one, as Westhill might look to take a little bit of time before they throw this ball, wind the clock down as we approach the 21-minute mark remaining.
Now, something I've noticed as I'm standing here, the bench, the difference in bench quantity. Darien has so many guys who can come off the bench right now, and you just have to think that that's something that could potentially be exploited later in the game if Westhill begins to tire.
Yeah, and you've already seen one of Westhill's standout players, David Torres, who is on the bench now, and again, to have that luxury of those extra players can be huge in games like this, especially towards the latter portion of the game. And again, I think, Lewis, you mentioned this earlier. One of the great things about John is that he didn't make any cuts for our year. The year prior, there were seniors who were cut, and John said, you know what, if you want to join the team, I can't guarantee that you'll play all that much, but, we'd love to have you support the team and, help out in practice, which, some of those utility players can definitely do. So I think it's a great tactic by John and speaks volumes of not only his coaching, but how he is as a person as well.
Yeah, just his care for the student.
Yeah.
It's more, at the end of the day, it is more than just athletics, and you do learn a lot from John and the rest of the coaching staff.
Yes, you do. As we see Westhill, Jorge Betancourt, what a great tackle there. Matt Freeman with the slide. Tripitelli will look to keep the ball and almost switches the field.
Right idea.
Great play from Riley Warble there. Quick off his line.
Keep him warm.
Yep. Westhill were really pushing there and had a decent opportunity. Pacheco and Tripitelli both fighting for the ball, and Marson's looking to make a run down that right flank, and he does. Just gets there. Well played.
That's well hold up.
And I think Darien will win that throw.
Looks like they'll try to be utilizing the long throw tactic here, which, we're all too familiar with, Eric, from Elliot Hulgins. It can be such a huge asset and something you do overlook sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And Olsen just doesn't manage to get it over that first defender, but he's looking to recover here. Westhill managed to clear it out, and look at the pace on that Westhill striker. I mean, just immensely quick. Lucas Goldfluss really putting a lot of pressure on the Darien defense.
Fortunately, it hasn't gotten to that stage of the game where defenders are starting to get too forward.
Correct.
Risking that counterattack even further. So luckily there was coverage there. But as the time continues to to go down here, 18 minutes left now. I'll be interested to see if John starts throwing up his wingbacks to encourage him to get further forward.
Yes, and we see a triple substitution come on for Darien. It looked like Flaherty, McElhose, and Gallagher, the goal scorer. So again, John taking advantage of the no limit on substitutions, which is something you don't see at a professional level. Again, just maximizing that. Oh, that's unfortunate.
And that is a Westhill goal, and I believe it's Torres as we take another look at this.
Who just came on as a sub. And you know what? That was an incredible save initially from Warble, and it just played it right back into the path of Torres, who just came on as a sub, has been their danger man tonight, and he was in the right place at the right time. But you really have to feel for Warble. There was not much he could do there. He was off balance and really just had to get the ball off the line.
Absolutely. He made a great effort in the beginning there to tap the ball into the bar, but as you can see here, a great effort, but just unfortunate that it fell straight to that Westhill Torres, who's been all night looking likely.
Yeah, and you can see Warble there really expressing his frustration. I mean, he's got to be really disappointed with how that one played out. Not for a lack of effort there. It just was unfortunate, you know.
You soccer guys like to use the word unlucky.
Yeah,
I think that certainly was unlucky after a really nice save. Goes up and gets it, and Torres was right place, right time.
I think it's almost one of those things you say even if the person's not unlucky.
Sure, yeah.
And it's just a natural kind of response.
Right.
And Torres caught offside there.
You know, it can be used as a good method of encouragement. I always liked it when people told me I was unlucky and not just bad.
Well, to me, it's a positive word. It's a positive word in soccer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it is pretty British, isn't it, Lewis?
It is. I think I say it after every single missed opportunity.
So now Darien back down 2 goals, Lewis. Obviously, their opponent is now Westhill and the clock.
They just have to keep pushing. They've been doing all game. They've been doing a great job at keeping the ball in Westhill's half. But, you know, at the end of the day, all they can do is play their game and keep going.
Here's Sears, serves up another one into the box.
He's been putting in great deliveries all night. I can't say enough about Sears.
Nice player. Charlie Sears also does some work for DAF Media.
That's great. The production's been great tonight as well, I must say.
Well, thank you. I even brought a little light out for you and Eric so you can actually see
I do see that.
Notes.
I think it's providing heat, too.
And ball rolls into Darien's half.
Yeah, time continues to tick here. Just 15 minutes left. We're approaching that mark.
Well, the 15-minute mark is going to be the time for me to make a correction. Apparently, the goal scorer number 22, an issue we have with our rosters, was in fact Coelho, who put that ball in. So I just want to apologize for not getting that correct, and obviously want to make sure he gets the credit for that great finish. And again, that was Pedro Coelho, the goal for Darien. Again, Darien pushing here, hoping to get one back, get a foot back in the game. And it looks like another Darien throw. And I will have to give another shout out to Regina Rizzuto, the second time, for bringing us hot chocolate. I'm not sure if I missed that a few seconds ago. Yeah,
nope.
But we really appreciate that on a chilly night like this. And I'm sure those players would as well. As we see Jack Hawley line up the throw. And that is Jorge Betancourt, who looks to be down with a knock, in no rush to move the 3 feet back off the pitch.
No, they won't be. Hopefully we don't see a lot of that.
No, but again, in high school they do stop the clock, so it's not too much of a downside. And obviously we hope it's nothing too serious and that he's okay. He does look to be limping off the field, so you never like to see that. And again, that's Jorge Betancourt coming off with an injury.
Yep,
and
we wish him the best.
Cesar Cayabero coming on, who looks to be a big presence on the pitch, and hopefully he can slot in seamlessly here for Westhill. They don't want to give up another goal while Darien are pushing as hard as they are.
Sears launches one.
Back to Marson.
Got to be careful here. Torres
look
with
at
a great with a great back
heel. Sorry to interrupt.
That's it. No, go ahead. Westhill looking to get men forward here.
They are, and looks like they're taking a little bit of time on that free kick. Again, they're in no rush. Great header from Will Harmon, and almost some great play from Charlie Sears.
Getting back to that Darien goal, as you made that correction moments ago, Eric, Pedro Coelho, number 22, he's a call-up from the JV team. Matter of fact, he was the leading scorer, or is the leading scorer, for the Darien JV boys soccer team with 16 goals. So he can put it in the back of the net.
That's great, and we've seen that before. Eric and I, back when we were playing, Ben Heighton was playing JV, and he was banging them in. And John, or at the time it was Nikolai Butt, they do recognize when players are performing at that level and can be used as a resource on the varsity team. And sure enough, Ben came up for that one game and he scored against Danbury. So it's definitely an underrated method to get goals in your team, is to resource the JV team.
Yeah, and being able to acknowledge that those lines that are defined as, varsity JV aren't necessarily concrete, and you can dip into talent if they're performing well. And to knock in as many goals as Pedro has this season, and we've seen tonight, as Darien have a great chance, and it just goes left of the post. To be able to step up on a stage like this is massive. So a real testament to Pedro and his ability.
At the end of the day, you're one squad, so it's great to see. It's great to see them dipping into the JV team there.
Under 11 minutes remaining, 3-1, Westhill. The Vikings have come here to Stadium Field and have, they brought their A game, certainly, against a very good Darien team.
They sure have. They've had the perfect balance of defense and attack. They've known when to get forward, and they've known their strengths, which is their pace on the counterattack, and they've used it. And here we go again, taking on the defenders. They've been great.
Great defensive play from Freeman there as he gets the ball up the field. But in the past couple of minutes, and really since that third Westhill goal, Darien have not been able to keep possession, and it's gotten a little sloppy in the midfield. And you just have to think that that third goal just sucked the life out of this Darien side, which is really unfortunate to see, because that goal from Pedro, we thought that was them clawing their way back, but it did suck the life out of them when Westhill scored that third.
It's difficult to keep your head up.
It is.
Especially when you have that momentum of scoring that goal, and you're feeling good, and you're trying to ride that as far as possible, and then after all the progress you've made, to have an unfortunate goal like that dealt your way it's difficult and it's tough, and that's really where mentally you have to be too strong to get through that and to progress and move on and try and get that goal back to get yourself back in the game once again. But like you said, the clock's ticking, so they're like Damien said earlier, they're not only battling Westhill, they're battling the clock at the moment.
Battling the clock, battling Westhill, and battling the table right now. Again, not coming away with a point from this match is going to be a pretty tough result to swallow as they head into the final 2 games of the season. So, John said they needed to win 2 out of 3 to sit comfortably in that FCIAC playoff spot. And this means that they'll have to win their last 2 games. Norwalk away, another night game on Tuesday, but that comes after their St. Joe's game.
And both of those games on the road.
Yeah, but I read out the home and away records, and really Darien has had a number of great results on the road. So maybe it might be a blessing in disguise that they have those games away from home. But they do have to play a great team in Norwalk, who are also fighting for a spot. So that should be a great game as well. Marson drops back to collect that ball.
Yeah, Norwalk right now, Eric, 2 spots ahead of Darien in 6th place in the FCIAC standings in terms of the playoff picture.
That's right. They have 3 more points than this Wave side. They picked up 1 additional win, so they're sitting at 25 points, Darien 22. And it'll be interesting to see how their results play out whenever they are playing.
I'm looking down at the Darien sideline as Coach Bradley pacing, as you would expect, and I can't help but notice his assistant, Linda Village, who was a standout soccer player at Westhill and then went on to have a Hall of Fame career at the University of Bridgeport. In fact, inducted into the UB Hall of Fame this year. So Linda Village, she's been John's assistant now for a while, and terrific player in her own right.
She is an incredible player. I've had the privilege of playing with her a couple times at Chelsea Piers in the indoor leagues, and it's just she truly is incredible. Yeah. She is an incredible soccer player.
Yeah, and actually and it looks like Torres.
And it's Torres with the goal, and we're going to take another look at this. The cross here, and Torres.
I mean, he has all the time in the world. Yeah. Really just pokes that ball under the goalkeeper. Yep. And that is his 2nd of the night.
Yes.
So, again, a very elaborate celebration. He has every reason to be happy tonight.
Here's another view here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unlucky, as they say. The ball fell to Torres, really inside that 6-yard box, and he puts it away to give Westhill what should be enough of a lead to close this one out 4-1.
Credit to him, he's been getting into dangerous positions all night, and that's what happens. They may not be the most spectacular and beautiful looking goals, but they're goals nonetheless, and they've gotten his team the win tonight.
David Torres with his 2nd goal of the evening for Westhill. So the Vikings with a commanding 4-1 lead right now as we approach the 6-minute mark here in this second half, as we've got some substitutions for the Blue Wave. Marson.
Looks like John's giving Sears a break.
Freeman, Sears.
Yeah, this is
the
point in time where he'll take out a lot of those key players, big starters, for 2 real reasons. One, make sure to get some of those other players and other guys in the game to give them an opportunity. And also, you don't want those players getting hurt. They have 2 very important games coming up, as well as states. So to have one of those players pick up an injury in the last 5 minutes of a game that really should be over is would be silly. So we see a number of subs coming on the field. Looks like Bruno Falk.
I think we see Jimmy Rizzuto coming in at right mid right now.
Number 33, yes, that's right.
Number 18.
Jimmy Rizzuto coming on. And again, there, Westhill really just will want to close this one out. And you know what? I think I would not be surprised if Torres is really looking for a hat trick here. Great defending.
Well done, Jimmy.
Rizzuto. Go on, Jimmy. And we see the clock just run under the 5-minute mark here. Foul by the Darien player. Goes to make sure he's okay, which you always like to see. And we see the Westhill left winger just juggling the ball.
While we have a moment here, I want to give a shout out again to our DAF Media production crew, all student based. They do a terrific job bringing you all the visuals, sights, and sounds of these games. On camera 1, Mike DeMeglio, camera 2, Sam Cragen, and our director in the back is Thomas Kiernan. And doing a terrific job. I know, Lewis, this is your debut on the DAF Media Network.
Yeah.
And, what do you think of our behind-the-goal cams and our ISO cam and
this
our
is
light on the table here?
The light on the table takes the cake, Damien. I have to say. But in all seriousness, I mean, this is my debut. I've hung around the broadcast a few times, but when you're in the thick of it and you're going through it, it's just the highlights. I think are just incredible. Having that behind-the-goal view and being able to give parents and even the kids to watch back their performances is a huge advantage. Guys like Eric and I unfortunately didn't have in the past. I'm so glad that they have that now.
Wow.
And that was a blast.
Yep.
That sailed over the crossbar.
Yep. But no, I can't say enough about the broadcast. These guys are great that are on camera tonight, and I'm excited to see how it continues to progress.
Dylan Sparks, as I just moments ago took a shot on goal, and he had a little bit behind it.
That was a cannon.
Yeah, Sparks had a goal in that win over Stamford last time out, and that is a save by Warble.
So I mean, Lewis, if you're John, what do you tell the guys after a game like this?
I think you just have to.
Actually,
you
you tell him what he just uttered there,
I think
Lewis.
it's pretty accurate. It sounded. I thought I was sitting next to John for a second.
I think you do really have to be as positive as possible in the days leading up to this. You have to give the players time to reflect on what exactly happened. I think there are certain different ways you can go about it. I don't always think the hair dryer treatment is always the answer, but I think he's just going to say, you know what, might get happen, and we're just going to move on to the next game here, and we're just going to focus on St. Joe's, and we're going to need to pick up the points there. And here's what we're going to do this week in order to do that. And I think that's what he'll do.
Yeah, and again, one of our worst loss in our senior season came against Westhill, and after that 7-1 defeat, I was getting on the bus, and John was, saying thanks to all of the players as they stepped on, and he said, forget about this game. We're done. We're past it. We have to worry about the next game against Fairfields, and we went on to win that 2-0. So, again, he's going to encourage a short-term memory with this one and really say, look, you have two more games to play. You have the state playoffs to look forward to, but if you guys want to play in the FCIAC, we got to get 2 results against St. Joe's and Norwalk.
I would love to see his email tonight, because he always, after each game, would send out a recap email, and it would always highlight about how proud he was of the team, regardless of the result, and how much fun he's having with the season, how much he's enjoying it. And, when you're having that positivity, it's infectious. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do next time out.
Oh, and the ball might just fall to Torres there.
Torres nearly did.
Complete the hat trick.
Get a shot off there, Eric.
Oh, yep. He's looking for it. I would love to see the celebration if he notched another. And he opts to just play it calmly back to Eric Zagaha playing left back.
So we are under 2 minutes left in this one. Westhill up 4-1. Damian Andrew, Lewis Clark, Eric Canigan joining you. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been a cold night, and it's going to end up being the result Westhill wanted and not the result Darien wanted. 2 games remaining for each of these teams as we near the end of the FCIAC regular season, and a nice save by Riley Warble.
Yeah, and it looks like he got that one just over the net and then popped it back up from the outside of the net, so that ball was already out. But again, this win should put Westhill, or it will put Westhill on 21 points. Darien still sitting at 22, so they are really breathing down the Waves' neck after this one. We'll see the replay from the opposite end of the field.
Might need your glasses for that one.
That's all right. But you should see Warble just kind of pops that one over the crossbar, kind of similar to what he tried to do on that second Westhill goal. And here we see it from the right ends.
Yeah, it's an awkward height.
It is, just over the crossbar.
Because you don't want to jam your fingers on the crossbar or anything like that.
And that's the end of this one. Westhill wins a big matchup for playoff implications, 4-1. Darien will feel as if they could have performed better tonight on senior night, which was still a special occasion. But again, Westhill pick up those big 3 points to put them 1 back on Darien.
David Torres with 2 goals for Westhill as the Vikings come into Stadium Field, and they will walk away with a big win in the conference. Again, shout out to our DAF Media production crew, Thomas Kiernan, our director, Camera 1, Mike DeMeglio, Camera 2, Sam Cragen. And guys, your final thoughts. Eric, final thoughts on this one. Obviously disappointing for the Wave, but they've got 2 games where they still can kind of control their own destiny.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, to be honest, tonight. I would have thought on a night like senior night, they might have come out a bit stronger. I think that early goal from Westhill really set the stage for the rest of this game. And really we saw, Darien tried to fight back with the goal from Coelho, but it wasn't enough. They just didn't look up for it. Westhill had too much talent up top, and Darien could not cope.
Lewis, if you're Coach Bradley, what are you telling your team in the locker room after this one? Kind of what you alluded to moments ago. Just forget about it, right?
And as Eric, exactly. As Eric was saying, just to, forget about it. These games happen.
Yep.
And there's another one coming up that we need to win. So he's going to be communicating that, and these boys are going to have to rally and be up for it next time.
And it looks like he's wasted no time already starting that post-match team talk, so you know that the implications are getting serious here, but just an unfortunate end to what was a special night for the seniors here in Darien.
So for our entire DAF Media production crew, Thomas Kiernan, Sam Cragen, and Michael DeMeglio, and for Eric Canigan and Lewis Clark, I am Damian Andrew. This has been a production of the DAF Media Network, a joint venture of the Darien Athletic Foundation and the Darien Foundation. Once again, Varsity Boys Soccer, Westhill beats Darien 4-1. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.